And here we are in 2021 and my update on my journey. Now, back in December, my PSA had doubled to 3.1 and I was to wait 6 weeks for another check. I was also referred to the lung specialist due to a nodule on my lung. I seem to now be in an eternal ping-pong game between the lung and the prostate specialists. So let's see if I can remember the order of events. I shall call the lung specialist Lorretta and the prostate Percy. This will make it easier for storytelling. Now, Lorretta informs me they'd like to perform a biopsy to get an in-depth sample of my nodule. So on the 15th of January, I'm in another backless gown. Now, the procedure is putting a needle in through either your chest or the side or the back to gain best access and snip little sections for the lab. This is done by careful mapping using a CT scan at the same time for accuracy. They first put a mesh with a grid on my chest, and I hear mutterings of coordinates C1 or C2, and then they decide to go in through the side and they put a new mesh there, and this is placed, and again they mutter D3, well, I helpfully say C2, D3, you sunk my battleship. The surgeon has obviously never played that children's game. Whoops. Now, the biopsy is completed and I'm sent to a ward to lay down before I can be dismissed. Now, whilst I'm there, I get a phone call from my main hospital saying they'd like me to come in for a breathing test in an hour. And I explain that I have just had a lung biopsy, to which they reply, well, we have tried to call all this morning. And I explain I couldn't answer the call, I was having a lung biopsy. And they still ask if I can make it within the hour. Now, this is where much of my concern comes from, the left hand and the right hand not really communicating. It's sorted out by the medical team and I eventually go home. The following week, I do my breathing test to go with the results of the biopsy. And these results will be given on the 25th of January. So, on to 25th, in the morning I go in to see Lorretta and also get bloods taken for Percy. Now, the Lorretta doc is good. He shows me the scan of my lung, tells me the nodule does not test positive for lung cancer and says they highly suspect it's a spread of the prostate cancer. The ping pong begins. I'm told they will hand me back to Percy. Ping. Now, I'm relieved it's still only one cancer and go and get my bloods taken. My next call with Percy is on the 3rd of February. Now, this throws up a new PSA reading of 10.5. So it's trebled in the 6 weeks and another PSMA scan is ordered. I mean, surely it will give a precise decision now. Now, unknown to me, Percy informs Lorretta and she asks for further scans. Pong. So I suddenly get requests for me to attend several scans within the matter of weeks. I phone the hospital and ask what particular scans are for, but sorry, I'm the receptionist, I'm not quite sure, is the medical answer that comes back. I figured this out by wearing a deerstalk hat and smoking a pipe and becoming Sherlock Holmes. My deductions are all worthy and I managed to decipher what's going on. Because Lorretta and Percy don't seem to talk that often, so the timing of my scans become quite close. I have Lorretta scanning me on a Tuesday and Percy on a Friday. However, on the Monday, I get a call asking if I might like to come in and take Friday's scan early. They use a radioactive trace and that has a short shelf life, and someone has not attended their appointment. I mean, can you believe it? I mean, it's such a vital scan and someone has not turned up. But I do remind myself of the mental stress this can all bring, and people can crumble at any point and hide from the possibilities. Sometimes better not knowing they think is better than knowing. I have to be there in 30 minutes. Now, luckily I'm a 20-minute drive away and I make it on time. So, ping, pong, back in the care of Percy. Tuesday comes and I'm batted back to Lorretta. I hope you're following this because I'm finding it difficult as well, in good time for their scan. And as I get asked the questions to see if I'm fit for this procedure, they ask if I have any CT scans recently. My cat's come to visit. I tell them yes, that it was less than 24 hours ago, and the ping of this ball obviously has a lot of spin, as it's unclear if I'm allowed to have 2 radioactive traces within that period. Now, after phone calls and consultations with people paid the big bucks to know, it goes ahead. Now, All these results will be given the following week. On the Monday, Lorretta, and on the Wednesday, Percy. It's strange that Lorretta meets me face to face, but Percy is by phone, even though it's the same hospital. Monday, Lorretta calls me into the office with a welcoming smile. Beware of Greeks bearing gifts. From the latest scan, it now shows 2 areas of activity in my lung. And they inform me that it looks more likely to be a prostate spread than a lung cancer. But they go through with me what they would do if it's only lung. Now, due to the positioning of the second area, they may not be able to use radiotherapy. They might be able to use a slightly lighter dose than they'd like, and chemotherapy, but they do lean towards surgery. And if it is, that would mean a total lung removal. Now, because of its positioning, it won't allow for just a section to be taken, it would be a whole lung. But we have to wait for all the important results from Percy. I ask if I can go through my list of prepared questions, many of which are unanswerable until Percy volleys back their findings. But after talking about how soon they might get on with things and what should I do to be in the best shape, I ask my last question. Oh, will I still be able to play the clarinet? At last there's a smile and laugh and tension is relieved. I go home and I say nothing in the car. Once indoors I explain to Lisa and we both break down and cry. But then 10 minutes later, have a cup of tea and laugh as we say, first prostate removal, then hip, now possibly lung. I'll never divorce her. I'll just leave her bit by bit. She's tough, but I do hate putting her through this. So now it's down to Percy. Wednesday comes and the phone call I've been waiting for is 45 minutes late. Percy apologises and tells me the conclusive news, it's inconclusive. My second area is shining as bright as a star apparently, but still shows no normal markers for prostate activity. They're reluctant to start the wrong treatment and want to bat me back to Lorretta to see if they can get tissue from this second mass. However, there is some good news. They tell me my PSA is now 11.7, so after doubling and then trebling, it seems to have slowed. There's absolutely no sign of activity anywhere else in my body other than the lung. I mean, it seems bizarre that even though my PSA rise and lung mass rise run alongside each other, and there's no sign anywhere else, they still cannot say with absolute surety what this is. I'm put on a course of hormone treatment to slow down the PSA and told they will take another look when that has kicked in. Meanwhile, I'm backhanded back to Lorretta, who I call immediately. And that was all yesterday. My self-resolve is taking a massive hit, tested to the limit, but I have surprised myself how many times I can go beyond that limit. And as well as the laughs and gasps that may have been brought by my latest offering, just remember you are capable of enduring more than you think. Unfortunately, you don't find out until you need to. But look at your past victories and ask if you thought you would cope with them. So, I will update you soon when Lorretta and Percy have finished their final rally and at last the umpire shouts, "New balls, please."